standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
We're just sitting underneath a tree here, everybody, live from the northeast corner of South Africa, the Greater Kruger National Park. Good afternoon to all of you. We're sitting under this tree because in it there is a, well, long-dead duiker. And we're trying to find the cause of the long-dead duiker's death, a male leopard that I frightened out of the tree by mistake today. I was walking along the road and he jumped out when I was... We're sitting under this tree because in it there is a, well, long-dead duiker. And we're trying to find the cause of the long-dead duiker's death, a male leopard that I frightened out of the tree by mistake today. I was walking along the road and he jumped out when I was 10 meters. Tracks of the Nkuhumas pride of lions going down into this block. They didn't come out the other side, so I'm pretty sure they're probably snoozing inside here, which of course is what lions do very best. Let's just move forward slightly, see if we can't spot this male leopard. Now, he's definitely fed on that since this morning. And he could easily be just around the corner here, underneath one of these bushes, on the termite mound. He's not on the termite mound. And we'll just do a little circle through here and see if we can't spot this special cat. The lion tracks went in from this big marula tree here. They went into the south, from exactly where I am now. So I don't want to get out of the car just yet. Let's just do a loop around here and see if we can't spot the leopard snoozing in the shade somewhere. He may have given up. He may have gone off to Sydney's Dam to have a drink, which is not far from here. It's quite a warm day, about 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. It started off very cold this morning, but it's very pleasant now. Watch out there, everybody. Watch your heads. And what I don't want to do is go off on foot here and give him a fright. A question from Mr. Glutez. Mr. Glutez, you want to know what a duiker is? A duiker, Mr. Glutez, is a little antelope. One of the smallest antelope that we get here, the second smallest being the steenbok. And a duiker weighs about 17 kilograms, a female. That was a male, so probably a little bit smaller than that. And that is about 45 pounds. No, it's not. That's absolute rubbish. It's about 35 pounds. So a very small antelope. I'm very pleased that he came back here because he shot out of the tree. He got such a fright this morning. He'd no doubt been watching me for some time by the time he decided to scarper out of the tree. And he ran woof, off to the right of your screen, and we didn't see him again. So let's just look around here in the deep shade and see if he isn't snoozing here. We'll drive around the other side of the termite mound as well, but that elephant, I suspect, may have flushed him if he'd been here. I was really hoping he was going to be lying in the tree there. but he doesn't appear to be. Didn't see his tracks crossing the road, but I didn't see them when he was running away either earlier today. Anyway, we'll do a little turn through here. Keep an eye out in the deep shade, just for the dappled spots, slight flash of gold. There were elephants and buffalo and those lion tracks, and then there's leopard around here this morning. It was all happening. Right, we're just going to do the same sort of loop through this side of the termite mound. And again, we do quite a lot of tracking on foot, but if this leopard sees us on foot again, he's going to freak out. So we'll just drive through here gently, pick our way through. We will be joined by a school a little bit later at 4:15 our time. I'm not sure what time that is for you, wherever you happen to be in the world. You will tell me if you see the leopard, will you? Given that he's your new best friend. And this is who I think it is. I mean, it may have been a female, but I'm pretty sure it was a male. He landed with a very uncat-like thud on the ground. It was not the most elegant landing. Yeah, I don't see him anywhere in here. Well, obviously I don't. I'd say if I did, I'd be overwhelmed with excitement. Be anywhere in here. A leopard is extremely good at hiding, and as somebody said to me this morning after I was admonishing myself for not having seen him earlier, they said if he doesn't want to be seen, then he won't be, and that I suppose is absolutely true. I think we often drive past these leopards by mistake. And to get a little crunchy in here. James Henry's old hat. You want to know what would have happened if he'd pounced on me? Well, I think it's safe to say that Sam Chevalier would be taking a 3-hour solo drive today. Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been good. I wouldn't have survived an encounter like that, I don't think. But, of course, it is a testament to exactly how the animals perceive us that didn't happen. That I was left completely unharmed by the experience, just enthralled, and actually just rather sorry that I disturbed him having his breakfast. So, I mean, the animals see us as a predator, and that was no more clearly illustrated by the reaction of that leopard to me as I came walking down the road. Now, I don't know where this fellow is. All right, let's head across to Sam, get an introduction from him. I'll keep you posted as to what's going on, and see you a little later.
Good afternoon, everyone, to SafariLIVE. We just at Buffelshoek Dam now, looking for the female on the female lioness. This afternoon you'll have Bryan Jabé, his thumb, who's ready for action out here today, Sam, and our friend here, Elvis the Ellie. And we're excited to take you on another adventure through this African savanna at Duma Game Reserve. And as you all know, this is a live safari, so anything can happen. Anything at any stage can happen. You can see the elephants, for example, have been right here and they've been eating and grazing along here. So we're going to have to go through here quite gently because we've got the VR over there. Oof, maybe we shouldn't go through here. So what we wanted to do, myself and Bryan, is come through to this area to see if we can find that female lioness. You know, our best chances of seeing her is if she gets up and goes and looks for some water. And then we follow her back into where she's denning her cubs. But that's going to be a lot of luck. A lot of luck. But we thought we would come test our luck and see if we can just find any tracks. So we'll go now, make our way back to the watering hole. And once we're at the watering hole, we'll have a look around there just to see if we can find any tracks of her coming to drink at the watering hole, and maybe follow those tracks into a position where we might find her. So we'll probably spend a couple of minutes doing that. Hopefully we do. I'd love to come and find Spotty Nose, the lioness. So we just next to the dam. John would like to know, being a Birmingham boy himself, why we decided to call the Birminghams the Birminghams. Well, Brian would be able to help me out here in terms of if I'm getting this information right, but I think that the coalition of males, which are the Birmingham boys, came from the Birmingham Reserve just next to you. Yes, Brian's giving me a thumbs up. So it came from the Birmingham Reserve, which is just next door into the Timbavati area, somewhere around there. So that coalition moved into our territory, so they were called the Birmingham Boys because they came from that area. So that is my answer to that one. I think that's the right one. We saw one of the Birminghams this morning. James was with them. They were just not too far away from here. And he had just eaten what he found left of a nyala carcass. He found a nyala carcass and was eating it. So we had a bit of action this morning with James and that leopard above him on the tree, which is quite funny. Never saw it, and then it just jumped down off the tree and ran away from him, bolted away from him. It was nowhere to be seen. Much like this lioness, I'm desperately just looking around to see if I can locate. We'll be very, very lucky, as I said, if we find her. And a huge privilege. But it's also, you know, if she's in a position where she's looking after those cubs and keeping them in a position where, you know, they're not going to get influenced, or, you know, a big fat vehicle might be quite annoying for her. So if we don't find her, it's not a problem. It would just be interesting to see if we can bypass her for a little bit and actually see where she is. But we're off to the dam now, so there could be anything at the dam now, from some hippos to some elephant breeding herds to some terrapins. Sometimes we see a whole bunch of terrapins on top of the hippo, which is also really cool. But just to give you kind of feeling for this afternoon, this morning was freezing. I had pretty much all my jerseys and jackets on, my beanie, and now this afternoon I've got almost just my t-shirt and shorts on. So the rapid change of temperature is quite something to behold. Very, very hot in this afternoon sun. Just got a name that I don't know if I'm going to get right. Tham Jing Sing. Tham Jing Sing, is that right, Rebecca? I think that was the name. Thamjing. Okay. It's hard to pronounce. How many different animals? Oh, look at the two buffaloes that we have there breeding in the watering hole. Let's get into a position where we can view them. Or can we? Because we're going to be going. You're asking Thamjing, how many different animals do we have here? We have loads of different animals. We have a whole different community of animals here. In front of us, we can see the buffaloes that are lying in this watering hole. Let me try and get a position where... Brian, is that okay for you there, Brian? Cool. There, have a look at that. So those are the buffaloes. So they, as you can see, are resting and chewing on a cud. Both of them are chewing on the cud there. It's quite cool to see their reflection in the water. Very cool. And so we have a number of different, from buffaloes to lions to cheetah to leopard to little insects like spiders, birds like oxpeckers, which we should see one soon because they're buffaloes here. We've got little tortoises like terrapins. You can see a terrapin on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Have a look at that terrapin. Cool. He's got his neck wide out, having a look at the buffalo, chewing his cud. He's like, whoa, how do you eat so much? That is a very, very cool terrapin. Terrapins are one of my favorite animals to view. I don't know, there's something about them that I really, really dig about a terrapin. So those are the terrapins, and they like to swim in water. So different to tortoises, they like to swim in the water. So it's a hot day today. It's exactly what I thought I'd find at the watering hole. There's 2 buffaloes wallowing from the sun, but sometimes we do see hippos here. And hippos are creatures that love water. Let's see if we can find a hippo. Maybe it's on the other side here. So this is the watering hole. So it was actually quite empty just a few months ago, or 2 months ago. So we've got quite a bit of water in it at the moment. We've got a number of animals that will come here. So we'll definitely come a bit later, because I think the large herd, which is basically the big breeding herd of buffaloes that like to come down to this watering hole, might want to have a sip on water. And elephants. So if we see any elephants that are around here that are looking quite thirsty, they'll come down to watering hole, and we might just get a special sighting of elephants drinking in the water. But it's one of my favorite places to come, this watering hole. This watering hole is very, very special to me, just because I've had some of my best sightings here, from lions chasing buffalo. Well, they didn't chase them, they came through the block, and that's when myself and Dave had a little problem with the camera, and we had to leave you. And then also with Brian, we watched buffaloes fighting each other right next to this watering hole. It was one of the most incredible things I've seen. But we are going down into the drainage basin, and this is exactly where the lioness was last found, where she was looking heavily pregnant. And she moved off just a couple hours later, and our guess is that she moved into an area a little bit more thick than this. So let's go in slowly and see what we can find just to the right of us. See if you can see anything while we look. These drainage basins are really, really nice places for animals to come and lie down. So right in the middle there is where the lioness was lying down. So she's not here at the moment. I think that she's gone deeper into that drainage basin to give birth, somewhere further down. But there's no point in trying to find her on foot, because it's very, very dangerous to try and find lioness while she's giving birth. You know, she's trying to have a baby. Some human walks in, it's not going to make her the happiest of ladies. So let's rather leave her. There we go. So we've just gone to Buffelshoek watering hole. I think we should turn left here. Our elephant this afternoon, his name's Elvis. He's part of our road trip, and he helps us choose directions on which way we should go. I think he wants us to go this way. See what we can find. Over here is a tree, and I wanted to show someone earlier. There's 2 things I wanted to show you. Someone asked me, what do elephants like to eat? And this morning we spoke about a Terrapins redundifolia, which is a round-leaf teak. And this one over here looks like an acacia. So acacias are also a plant. These spiky thorns on this tree is something that an elephant likes to eat, especially the flaky thorn acacia, which I thought it was for a second, which is the zuvialis. And you can see even on the top of that branch, if you go all the way to the top of that tree, you'll notice that it's been splintered. And that would most likely be from an elephant. There we go, you can start seeing some marks at the top there. The elephant would have come here and ripped parts of this acacia off to get to that nutrient cambium layer that's just beneath the bark there. So that is that. And then the second one, I think it was Kitty Cat that wanted to know, I can't remember who it was, but they wanted to see what a buffalo weaver nest looked like. So if we look just over here, above us, in this tree, this Balanites tree, to the top left there. Whoever saw that video this morning, we did a little thing for Buffy, who became almost like the camp pet, while we tried to bring it back to life, or see if we can help him, to get back out there into the world. This is where his nest, this isn't where his nest was, but that's what his nest would have looked like. His nest was right by our camp, and so that is a buffalo weaver nest. And sadly, the buffalo weaver passed away this morning, or last night rather. And so we did a little thing for Buffy, the little bird that we tried to bring back. So that'll close the loop, help you understand who Buffy was a little bit more, where he would have liked to sleep if he was still a flying buffalo weaver. They're incredible creatures, the buffalo weavers. They move around and they fly very quickly, and they go off and collect twigs, and they bring the twigs back to their nests and build very, very, very large, magnificent-looking houses, almost. And I think their social structure is also quite interesting, which is a male will build these huge nests, as you've seen, for all the different females that he tries to house. So that was the buffalo weaver nest. Glad we could have showed you that. Sad to have lost Buffy, but it was probably better that he passed away. I don't know if he was suffering a little too much. Okay, so we're going to head in this direction and see if we can locate on any sign of those lions that were here earlier, or the lioness. While we do that, let's go and see how James is doing.
No luck, everyone. We did a brief foray into the block there to see if we could find the lions. No lions. No leopard. Just his hapless prey hanging lifeless from this brown ivory tree. We're going to go now down to the waterhole, Sydney's Dam, and see if there perhaps isn't an elephant eating there. Catherine, you want to know if I think the leopard will come back when it's dark? I think it will. I mean, the kill is nearly finished. But what confuses me is that it's eaten since we were last here. And we drove up really slowly, so I don't believe that it ran away when it heard the vehicle coming. Maybe it's at the waterhole having a drink. I don't see any tracks from it, though. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the waterhole. I don't know. It could be that the lion's off, too. It could be that the lions, there were buffalo and elephant around here this morning. They could have obliterated the tracks. I don't know. Anyway, it was such great.
So we spent some time with dwarf mongooses yesterday, and we've just found another group of them. And they're over here. Look, there they are. One's come out to say hello to you all. Look how sweet he is. They're so cute, eh? And that looks like the sentinel. So you get one of the mongooses that will come out of his hole and stand out and have a watch out for anything that might be around. There's another one there. Watch those quick, rapid movements that they make, listening intently for everything that could be around them. So these are the smallest of our mongooses, the dwarf mongooses. The most common one that we find out on Djuma. often wonder what they do when they lift their head down like that. Looks like he does a quick push-up. He's so sweet. So when I was reading up on them last night, there's a very cool interaction that mongoose have with hornbills. And we just saw a hornbill that was in the tree here with them. And the mongooses will feed on insects around them, and the hornbill will come and feed with them. The hornbill at the same time will also be an alarm system for these mongoose. There he goes, now on 2 feet. Looks like a meerkat almost there. So mongooses, civets, and genets, all part of the same family group, which is Vividae. And say it properly. So those are the sweet little mongooses of our African savanna. And you saw a banded mongoose this morning with James, which is really, really cool because they are quite rare to find compared to the dwarf. And they also live in gregarious packs. So both the dwarf mongoose, both the dwarf mongoose and the banded are moving in groups. Violet, age 10, would like to know, what would the dwarf mongoose eat? Well, the dwarf mongoose would eat anything from scorpions, little tiny scorpions that are around, to little insects and bugs and termites that they find. Those are the sort of things that they would like to eat, Violet. And they need to move around quite a lot. So this will be one of their homes. And they'll probably leave this home. If I came back here tomorrow, they wouldn't be here. They would be off in another little termite mound, which is a dwelling, and they have around 10 of them. So they move territories every single day, and that'll help them diversify themselves and show predators, or, kind of, if they stayed at the same place all the time, predators would just demolish them and know exactly where the dwarf mongoose would be that evening, so all of them would probably get killed. So it's very clever of them to have a whole bunch of different houses. Different housing. Oh, sweet. Scratching over there. And owls would feed on these mongoose. A number of eagles would feed on this mongoose. Falcons. The larger predator birds would enjoy one of those mongooses. And as I said earlier, you get sentinels, which is the one mongoose that comes out and stands up and he looks around, and he'll be looking for any type of predator, whether it's in the sky or below. And he has a specific alarm call that he'll make to tell the rest of the group that there is a predator around. So that is a little group of dwarf mongoose. Maybe we'll find a few more a little bit later. Hopefully we do. We saw a white-tailed mongoose just the other day. James actually put one of his white-tailed mongoose on his mantelpiece, just like we have Elvis the Ellie here. Oh, there's a warthog over there. It's almost like he hasn't seen us.
Good afternoon, mobile station, routine update.
So that is the infamous warthog. And you can tell the difference, male and female, between a warthog by looking at the two sets of warts on its face. So I think this is a female, because I can't quite see the warts at the moment. But look at those tusks that are in the front there. So those will be the defense strategy of this warthog as it goes and finds habitat or a home in a termite mound. It'll go in backwards and have those tusks facing outwards. And if any leopard tried to come and eat him inside his termite mound, he will have his tusks ready to charge the leopard or any other predator trying to get to him. And they like to eat the tubers in the ground. So sometimes you'll see them on, almost looks like they're on their knees, but they don't actually have knees, it's just cartilage. And they get down and they open up the ground below it and get to the tubes. So that's the type of food that the warthog likes to eat. Violet, please come with any questions that you have whenever. And if you have any drawings or anything that you want to do or share with SafariLIVE, we love having you on the show. It makes it more interactive for us, and we can learn a lot through your questions. So thank you, Violet. Anytime. It's a very nice name, Violet. A really nice color as well. So that was a warthog and a dwarf mongoose quickly in one afternoon. I think something I really want to do this afternoon is have a very diverse afternoon, see what little things we can find, big things we can find, and maybe in between that looking, we'll find something big, like a predator. But I want to see if I can get my bird list a little bit higher. There's the hornbill we spoke about earlier, the yellow-billed hornbill. There it flies off. So I just wanted to make that connection of the bird and the mongoose. The bird that helps the mongoose out makes that alarm call for when the mongoose are eating and feeding. I'll sometimes help them out, and that is called a symbiotic relationship, which is called mutualistic, so helping each other. Monkey Man would like to know, what are the predators, what predates on a mongoose? Well, it's almost anything that's larger than a mongoose that is a predator will eat. From eagles, eagles will eat them, owls will eat mongoose, all types of opportunistic animals, you know. A leopard is opportunistic, so it'll eat anything that moves. Sometimes you'll find baby leopards will try and predate on them, or young leopards, leopard cubs, and they'll be practicing their pouncing and all that sort of stuff on the younger, smaller things like mongoose. So mongoose are definitely on the menu for many, many different predators out here. Very, very cool. I really enjoy looking at my mongooses. Tanner is asking, are ferret and mongoose related? Tanner, I don't think so. I know that all I know is that the mongoose are part of the Vervet. I can never say it properly. Vervet family group, which is the mongoose, the civet, and the genet. They're part of that family. So they could be distant cousins. Actually, hold on. I did actually look that up the other day. Maybe I did write it down. I just remembered that I did look that up because I got asked that before, and it wasn't that they're almost like distant cousins. That's what it said they were. They're not related in any close way. Distant cousins. So I know that's not a great answer, but I'll see if I can read up on that again and let you know when we're sitting with some dwarf mongooses the next time. Right. Let's see what we have round the corner. You never know what you're going to see on every bend. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to just have a look around this corner. And if we don't see anything, we're going to go see what James is seeing around his corners. That's my favorite thing about being in the bush. There's always tracks and signs. You can smell things which will tell you maybe that there's a leopard up ahead, or that there's a predator, or there's oxpeckers. So there's always tracks and signs, but sometimes you just walk into things, and that's the funnest thing. So here's the corner. Let's check around this corner. It could be anything. Could be just trees, which will also be cool. All right. You know what? I want to carry on this a little bit more. Come with us. Come in on a little exploration, on an adventure around these corners. Have a look and see if we can find anything just around here. That's the best thing about tracking, is that in everyday life, we're not really used to using all our senses, like our smelling and our tasting and our hearing. But while you're out here, you really have to attune to that kind of sense of looking around you and smelling and listening. Alright, so there was nothing around these corners, which is cool. It's alright, we had some beautiful looking trees. But let's go see what's around the corner with James. See you now.
Right, we've given up on those lions and leopard for now, simply because I think to fossick around there the whole afternoon is going to be extremely boring for you. And so Aubrey and Taxon have gone in there. They've got some guests and some trackers who can go off in there on foot. And with any luck, they'll come up with the lions, and we'll go back there a little bit later as the sun sets, maybe to check the hyena den and also to just have a look if that leopard hasn't slunk back across. In the meantime, we're going to head south down towards Treehouse Lake, see if we can find anything there, maybe pick up tracks of Tingana, or better still, the leopard himself. Tracks. Like I say, I'm fast coming to the conclusion. Sorry, 1 second here. Una yon. Sorry. Na it's amalens in yen and look on the farmer eminenge it's so. So he just wanted to know about it was Taxon. Trying to find out the lay of the land and asking me whether or not the leopard had been chased out of the tree by the lions or by me, and I had to confirm that it had been by me, by mistake. Hello, Cindy from North Carolina. Very nice question from you and an interesting one. You want to know, do leopards or predators follow the prey tracks? So would they sort of discern a nyala track over a warthog track or over an impala track and decide that, well, no, I think, well, I want some impala for dinner tonight, I'll follow those? I'm going to say no, I don't think that they do. I think it's done almost entirely by smell. I don't think it's done by sight. And so by smell and hearing, they will follow predators. Their sight, of course, I think is used probably even more importantly. Look at this idiot here, and I'll tell you why I say he's an idiot. Here he goes. These male impala become completely imbecilic at this time of year. They horn trees and branches, they horn each other, bash each other's heads. He's totally alone. He's unprotected by the rest of the herd, which of course is the greatest defense that an impala has. And it's because his testosterone levels are through the roof. So he hardly knows what to do with himself. So, Cindy, yeah, I think it's largely done with sight and smell. I'm pretty sure, much like a bloodhound can follow the scent of whatever animal's scent it's been put on, or like a police dog can follow the trail, or a tracking dog can follow the trail of a poacher sometimes, I think it's pretty much the same for the cats. I see no reason why they wouldn't have evolved exactly the same sense of smell or tracking ability. Whether they can discern an actual track or not, I would say probably not, no. It's an interesting one. I wouldn't say it's impossible. There's no quicker way to end up with egg on your face as a biologist than to say, oh, well, that's impossible, that will never happen. Sure as nuts, it will the next day. Some elephant tracks around the place. They are back. They haven't been around for the last few days. Hopefully some of them. But otherwise, all is a very pleasant autumnal afternoon. I suppose it's pretty much winter. When would you say winter starts? Maybe June. You think we're still in autumn? Okay. Felt very wintry this morning, but that's because there was a front going through. So So our winter is probably only, well, June, July, August, I guess. But August over here is already getting warmer. So it's June and July that we have semi-cold months. And we'll just see if we can't see any tracks here, or better still, like I say, the animal himself. The last time we saw Shadow's tracks, they were coming around here. And she came out of the block here, went back into Arethusa, and I thought maybe she was going to come back and, you know, bring her cubs to a kill. But she didn't. And I think that's probably because she ate whatever she'd killed and then went back to feed them. But as of sort of now, they're now 2 months old, and I think she's going to start moving them, just like Karula's doing. She's taking them 2 kills now to feed. Karula and her cubs, if you missed it this morning, are still on Torchwood at the moment. And if you haven't seen pictures of them, go across to the SafariLIVE page on Facebook. We posted 2 pictures of the cubs today, and they were taken by Lex Hess, who's a highly experienced and wonderful guide and photographer. Did you see it, Liam? It was a duiker. Deeply exciting. His cousin, unfortunately, hanging lifeless in a tree, not too far from here. It's gone away. And the 2 things I noticed about those cubs, first of all, we know that one is smaller than the other. I think it's probably the female. And the male is the one, he looks like he's got a 3-3 spot pattern. The female is easily discernible, or the smaller one is easily discernible, by the fact that she's got 3 spots and then 1 above. And that is on her, if you're looking at it, it's on her right-hand side, so our left-hand side. So she's got 4 on the right-hand side, and 1 of them above the other 3. So that it makes her very easy to distinguish from him. I'm assuming it's a her just because it's smaller, but I haven't actually managed to sex the second one. The larger one is definitely a male. Just listening to the radio. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Orbs confirm they crossed north? No. Orbs confirm they crossed north? Sorry, I can't hear you properly. I don't think it's... Okay, yeah, no, they're still... I didn't miss the tracks. I was terrified that I'd missed the tracks going north into Buffelshoek, but that is not the case. So those guys will go off on foot with the 2 trackers, and with any luck they will find... I'm hearing again. Ooh. Sounds like monkey's alarm calling just close to the camp. Let me just ask there. I'll ask them quickly. Oh no, they're calling on Buffelshoek, never mind. All righty, let's just have a quick stock take here, a view of the view, simply because there seems to be my luck of the last few days holding firm, mammals in short supply. That is a view out to the east, everybody, from which the cold front that hit us yesterday has now finished emanating, and it is now lovely blue, deep skies. I just want to check something quickly here. Is that our tower there, Liam?
Right in front of us,
Yeah. There's our tower, everybody, on Cheetah Plains. Can you see it there?
Yeah, I think that been there for ages.
Can't be the Cheetah Plains Tower, hey? No, that's at another lodge. Such a wonderful view, this, and especially what you must notice, everyone, is that as the winter takes hold and all the vegetation thins, you will see how amazing this view becomes, because you can see for miles and miles, and you can see into the little clearings underneath the trees. Okay. Okay, come on, find a mammal, Hendry, come on. Oh. Go ahead. Tikwi. Those lions apparently are right near where we checked. Taxon's got them. Okay, copy. We're on our way now, Tex. I think they've come up. He says they're just south of that tree. Those, sorry, now they're tracks of hyenas. Okay, so they were on that brown ivory tree where the kill was. The lions were just the other side of that. We did check there, so they've obviously moved. Well, that's good. We'll have some lions to look at. I say they've obviously moved simply because I can't bear the thought that I drove straight past them. But it is not impossible. We couldn't have driven past them there. No ways. Anyway, that's very good news indeed. So we'll head towards there, and we'll have some lions. And with any luck, a leopard a little bit later. This is a relief. Because there's nothing else out here at the moment. Grasses are starting to lose their colour, going a gentle shade of yellow-green, which is quite early at this time of year. I also think that they were calling in on the radio there that there were monkeys alarm calling at a camp called Hardekul, just inside Buffels Hoek. That's not far from where we were parked. And I think what is quite likely is that the leopard that we were looking for has gone there to have a drink. Samuel is hailing me on the radio. Let us hear what he has to say. Go ahead.
James, they can't in FC get hold of you. To let you know you still are.
They can't get hold of me from the FC. Have you heard them talking, Liam? Oh, I'm on channel 8. That'll be why. I wonder why I'm on channel 8. Okay, Rebecca, sorry about that. You can get hold of me now. There we go. I'm not ignoring you, Rebecca, or anyone else. Kudu, Viam. Let's have a quick look there. Just to show that there are some mammals here that I am able to view. So there is a kudu, and Aaron, you want to know the difference between the size of that waterbuck, the size of that kudu, and the size of a waterbuck. They are pretty much the same size. A big bull, probably about 270 to 250 kilograms each. That's just over 500 pounds each. And the females, probably 180 kilograms. And that is 180 times 2, Viam, is 360, is it not? So that's just under 400 pounds for a female. They're almost exactly the same size. Let's carry on. Get to those lions. Really irritated that we didn't find them. Oh, wonderful. Sam's got some primates sitting in a tree having a game.
And we are back with the monkeys that I think that we've seen for 2 days in a row down here in the drainage line, and they're jumping from tree to tree. So this is really nice to come down in this heat, come down to the cool drainage line and watch these monkeys jump around. These are the infamous vervet monkeys. There's quite a few of them in the tree. They're jumping around these tamburtis, or what seems to be tamburti trees. Let's see what they're doing. There we go. Watch how they jump up the tree. They've got such acrobatic skills moving around the tree. And it just seems that we've been watching them playing since we've been here. You know, they've just been running around, jumping around the tree. I haven't actually seen them eat anything while all my viewing of these vervet monkeys over the last... Wow! Did you see that jump? There was one jump that just... These monkeys are jumping all around these trees. This one's eating, so we can see that. That's cool. I haven't seen that. That one is eating, it looks like some berries from a guarri tree. So just as I was saying that, I was looking out at the tree and I look onto the monitor and I see the vervet monkey eating. Thank you for showing us how it's done. So they like to eat berries and insects. And all sorts of different little creatures that will walk around these trees. And you'll find that they've probably been camping out in this area for quite a few days now. And they spat that one out. Obviously didn't like that berry. But they like to sit on tops of trees, and at night time they will sleep there. They don't nest on the ground, so they're diurnal animals. And they rest up in the treetops at night, away from the different predators that would predate on them. Beautiful. Guy's just sitting on his perch. So they've got quite similar social structures to that of the baboon. The dominant male. So I wouldn't know where the dominant male is. We've got quite a few youngsters out here. This one looks like quite a big one as he snacks on his food. Look at those hands. Is he eating something in that bark? What's he doing there? Looks like he's playing the trumpet or something. Siobhan in Calgary would like to know whereabouts do they have their babies, and you're asking if they have it in the tree. Yes, I would predict that they have them in the trees. I'll just check on my mammal book just to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that they will have their children. Whoa, that was a big jump. Some of them are eating, some of them jumping, climbing trees, scratching. Scratch, there he goes, there he climbs. Look at the beautiful light that is shining on this vervet monkey. Fantastic afternoon. I'm just going to go to the vervet monkey in my mammals book. Six. So, the scientific name of the vervet monkey is Cercopeticus aetiops. That's the scientific name. And I'm just trying to read here. So the breeding, it says they have 1, seldom 2, young or born any time of the year after a gestation of plus minus 7 months. There's no indication here to whereabouts they'll have their children, but I'm guessing that they would have their little monkeys up in the tree. So they're very swift tree climbers. And they can also be found outside the conservation areas. Not just here in the Kruger National Park do we find these vervet monkeys. We do find them around some of the urban settings, just outside the Kruger. They're jumping, and what we know about monkeys, they can be very, very good indicators of leopard. That's why when we were sitting with him the other day, I didn't mind sitting with him for a long time, because if they see a leopard, which they probably would see a leopard way before we would, they would let every single one in the troop know that there is a leopard around. And they would make that alarm call, and it will help us find them. Brenda Brown would like to know, what kind of monkeys do you find on the reserve? Well, as you can see, just the vervet monkey here, but we also have a baboon. Well, some baboons here, and they are a lot bigger than these vervet monkeys. I've seen the baboons once or twice since I've been here. They also like to live in troops and live in the trees, and they're also very nervous of the leopard. The leopard would predate on both a monkey and a baboon. Just having a look here to see. We also get like what are they called? We get bush babies, which are a type of, small little mammal that lives in the trees. And then we get the greater galago that lives in the tree. And these aren't monkeys, but they're also creatures that like to dwell up in the trees. So hopefully this evening we have the chance to see a bush baby. I've never seen a galago. It would be incredible to see when they're exceptionally small. Very, very small, to see one of those. And it says here that you also get the Sykes monkey. The Sykes monkey is also occurring around close to the Kruger National Park, but I've never seen one here in this area in the Sabi Sands. They're called the Sykes, and they're quite a lot different to that of the vervet monkey. So it seems they've been in the drainage line for a while. I'm quite curious to see how long they might want to be here for. They're very, very relaxed with our vehicle being here. That's why it's such a privilege to sit with them. Because normally when we see, there we go, so often when you see the genitalia of a vervet monkey, it's a bright color blue, and that is an indication that it is the vervet monkey. See the trees moving around as the monkeys jump around. It's incredible how far they can jump. There we go, the one's on the ground. Looks like he's being a little brave adventurer. He's left and gone to the other side of the drainage line. There we go, still got a couple more left up in the trees. They're very, very good looking, and they groom themselves every day, so that's why they look so well looked after. The others in the group will come around and help groom each other, and that's a social practice that they do. And you actually find within the vervet monkeys and the baboons, some of them are actually more popular than others. So, the more higher ranking you are in the troop, the more you're going to get groomed and looked after, which is quite an interesting thing. I once sat with my father with baboons, and we watched how they were looked after, how they were interacting with each other. It was just incredible to learn more about these animals. They've actually got a similar social structure to that of a hyena. Believe it or not, they've got complex social systems where the youngsters will be weaned for over 1 year. All right, so we've had a cool afternoon here with these monkeys. Let's go see how James is doing tracking the lions, and hopefully we'll either see you with the monkeys or something else down this drainage line. Let's move down the drainage line, and
surrounded by a stink of lion dung, is the Nkuhumas pride. They're lying amongst the shade. We probably missed them by not much more than 10 feet as we came through here earlier. I feel deeply ashamed of myself for the second time today. Anyway, that is just the way it goes. You win some, you lose some. Now, I must just tell you that the odor surrounding these gangsters, for that is what lions are, the gangsters of the wilderness, is profound. If it has a color, it is the color of pale green. If it has a taste, well, we're not even going to go down that road. But look how well hidden they are. There's a fat belly and definitely some swollen nipples on that other lion, the first one we were looking at. I'm sure she's pregnant. And I'm not sure how many there are here. It'd be quite interesting to know. I think there are 4, but there may be 5. So that will tell us if that single lioness that was seen the other day is, in fact, off trying to give birth, or if that was a false alarm. If the obstetrician was called from her bed too early. I think they've eaten something too. I don't think they're just lying here for the sake of lying here. I also wonder if that leopard, who we think it is, I think he would have been in the tree possibly for as long as he was because of these lions this morning. Gosh, we must have come so close to them. Anyway, what I'm going to do is try and reposition so we can get a slightly better view. There are a lot of sticks in here. There are a lot of logs. And there's a, like I say, Liam, how would you describe the smell? It's not like a fine wine, is it?
No.
No.
Like a 20-year-old carcass.
Like a 20-year-old carcass. That's exactly what it smells like. We'll just ease our way around to where Taxon is parked. I actually saw this tree and thought to myself, I wonder if the leopard's not lying up in that tree because it's a good place for him to be resting. Well, he isn't, but the lions are just underneath it, of course. Smile, everyone, you're on camera. You'll get a decent view through here of the flat cats. Watch out for this apple leaf, everyone. Inkomo Texon. Ah, you're right. Yeah, I'm bored. Taxon is just saying you're lucky you didn't get bitten, you came so close to them. A very interesting comment from Kathy, who says that, of course, the Birmingham boys come from the Timbavati. Now, the most famous exports of the Timbavati, of course, are the great white lions of the Timbavati. And therefore, Kathy, you say it is possible that those Birmingham boys are carriers of the recessive gene that is that expresses as leucism or white lion. And it's possible, therefore, that some of these cubs that are to be born to this pride could be white. Well, Kathy, I think it's a stretch, given that the Birmingham boys come from well south in the Timbavati, the southernmost farm. It's not impossible. And wouldn't that just be the most fascinating thing in the world if we were to have little white lions here? It's possible. I don't think it's likely, but of course it's not likely that that gene is ever expressed. But I certainly didn't draw that conclusion myself, so well done. Liam, how many have we got here? 4?
Yeah, 4.
I think it's just the 4, so the other one is probably giving birth, which would be just very exciting indeed. Monkey Man. I got it. I killed it. Monkey Man. An interesting question or a sort of thought experiment, because I don't think it's ever actually happened. You want to know what would happen if a leopard cub came across a lion cub without any adults present. Well, while it's a thought experiment out in the wild, I'm pretty sure it's happened in captivity. And I think you'll find that those cubs, if they're the same size, will probably just play with each other. And so often we see these pictures of things, these pictures of captive goats playing with captive rabbits, for example, or I saw one the other day of a cat snoozing on iguana's belly. So, I see no reason why a lion cub and a leopard cub wouldn't get on with each other pretty well. Definitely just the four of them here. So that is very exciting news. Well, Shannon, nice question from you. You're in Ohio, and please, everybody, do tell us where you're from when you send through a question. It's so nice to know where in the world you happen to find yourself, and imagine what time of the day it is while we sit here at just about 4:15 in the afternoon. Shannon, you want to know at what age you'll be able to view the lion cubs? Well, this is assuming we can find them, of course, and if I have anything to do with it, we won't. But luckily, there are more competent people around the place, and we will view them pretty much as soon as they are mobile with the pride. She will introduce them to the pride when they're about 6 weeks old. It is possible that we would see them before. Let's, for example, say we went to Buffelshoek Dam, and that's where we think she's given birth, and maybe she's moving the den from one side of the dam to the other. She'd be carrying them. Well, then we would view them, but we wouldn't follow her as she carried them. So if we see them by chance, before the 6-week period, before she introduces them to the pride, we'll view them. But until then, we're not going to actively sort of look for them. But because they have the protection of the pride, we can be slightly less careful around them than we are with the leopards. The leopards, of course, have no protection. I'm just going to go backwards here so that Tax can move his car. Then we will move into position again. Lily, you're just 11 years old, and it's lovely to have you with us. You want to know how long does it take for a lion to have a baby, or how long, that's the gestation period, Lily, that's what we call it. Gestation period of a lion is about 110 days, so that's just under 4 months. So if you think about it, it's much, much shorter than the gestation period of a human being, which is 9 months. And even though they're much bigger than human beings, because their babies are born like puppies, which means that they're blind and they can't see anything and they're totally helpless, it means that they have a short gestation period. They also have a short gestation period for their size, because remember, they can't afford to carry big babies in their tummies the whole time, because it will make it very difficult for them to hunt. You know that, I'm sure you know that if a woman is pregnant, heavily pregnant, it's very difficult for her to move very quickly, and a lion has to move quickly all the time in order to be able to eat. Just move in here now. Very clever question, thank you, Lily. James Richard, you want to know, do I think that predators use recollection when they're hunting? James, I'm not really sure what you mean. You mean kind of a recollection of where their prey species might be or where they were? And I think absolutely they know where the common hunting grounds would be, where the good places to hunt are. I've got no doubt that they do that. I think if that's what you mean, then yes, I'm sure that's what they do. Let's try and identify which Nkuhuma lioness has gone off to visit the obstetrician. And Violet just dovetailed very nicely with your question, how do we tell the lions apart? Well, with this pride, it's not too difficult. The first one, or the one that is most obvious, is that she's got there's a lioness here with amber eyes. She's got very orange-colored eyes. I don't see her here. The second one, the one that is moving now, if you look at her nose, it's completely pink. You see that? It's because she's younger than all the others. So she's easy to identify. Then the others, there's amber eyes. Is that her, Pam, on the ground there? I think that's her there. I'm pretty sure that's amber eyes, lying very inelegantly. One of them's got quite slitty eyes, quite sort of slanted eyes. Look, she also looks either very full from food or perhaps pregnant as well. And so, Violet, those are the obvious sort of markers. We've got the young one, we've got the amber-eyed one, we've got the kind of slitty-eyed one with the short face, and we've got a slightly younger one, not as young as the sub-adult. And then we also have one, if I'm not mistaken, that's got a bit of one of her ears missing. But the best person to tell you about this, she's done a research project on it, is Sarah in Ohio. I'm not sure if she's watching, but she can maybe send through a list of the most obvious ways to tell the difference between these two lionesses. Or 5 lionesses. And just a big warm welcome to the students, the 9 and 10-year-olds of Three Oaks Elementary School, Mrs. Down and Mr. Connery's class. Wonderful to have you with us. You're in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and it's great to have you along on a live safari with us. We're coming to you from the northeast corner of South Africa. My name is James. On camera is Vyom. Hello, Vyom. There we go. Vyom is saying hello to you there, all the way where you find yourselves on the east coast of the United States. We're across the Atlantic and then all the way across another continent, bordering pretty much on the Indian Ocean, many, many thousands of miles and a whole hemisphere away from you. Broadcasting live, and it's wonderful to have you with us. Please ask as many questions as you like about the animals that we're going to see. I hope we're going to see lots of different kinds of animals. Sam is on the other vehicle, and he's also looking around for many things to try and show you during the course of the next little while. But first of all, let's have a look at these lionesses. No male here, just the lionesses, 4 of them. They've got one friend who's gone off basically to have cubs. We don't know where she is at the moment, but we're very excited to see her. And Ben, very clever question from you straight away. You say, what is the most common animal to find on a safari? Ben, it very much depends where you have your safari. In South Africa, where we are, the most common animal to see on your safari is something called an impala, which looks a bit like a deer, but it isn't a deer. It's called an antelope. And that is the most common thing to see. I'm pretty sure you're going to see one on your little safari this afternoon. Impala like to be, I nearly used a Samism there. Impala are often eaten by lions and leopards and wild dogs and cheetahs and even jackals. We'll catch wild dogs. At least we'll catch impala every so often. It's a nice question, Ben. And just to give you an idea of where we are here, we are sitting in the Kruger National Park. And the Kruger National Park, of course, is very famous around the world. And if I was to compare it with something in the United States, I suppose it would be compared with the Yellowstone National Park. Although the Kruger, where we're sitting now, is 3 times the size of the Yellowstone National Park. And Destiny, I've spoken about that lioness who's gone off to give birth. And you want to know how many cubs she'll have. Well, she could have up to 6 cubs, but I think it's much more likely that she will probably have 2 or 3, and certainly only 2 or 3 will survive. It's very unusual for more than that to survive. She might be very lucky and raise 4 cubs, but there are lots of pregnant females in this pride, and although they do help each other, remember that if a lioness has only got 2 cubs, they're going to have a much better chance of surviving than if she's got 4 in a busy pride like this. Ben, you ask a very good question. Why do lions flip over onto their backs? Well, why do they move at all? Ben, do you move when you sleep? I wonder if you do. I know many people move when they sleep. I move when I sleep. Sometimes I wake up and my duvet is on the floor and it looks like I've been thrashing around in the night. There are 2 reasons. 1, I think they dream in the same way that you dream, Ben. 2 is that if they lie on one side for too long, it puts pressure on their organs. So if you lie on one side, I tell you what, run your hands down your left-hand side, okay? And when you get underneath your rib cage, just push your hands underneath your rib cage there on your left-hand side. And you feel your spleen, that's there. And if you lie on that for too long, remember these guys are not lying on a bed, they're lying on rocks and sometimes sticks and things like that, their pressure starts to build up. Also, the blood flows all the way down into that area and it becomes painful. So that's when an animal turns over and lies on the other side. And if you squeeze your body underneath your right-hand side rib cage, that's your liver. And if you're lying on your right-hand side, well, your liver is also going to get pressure. So that's why we move around when we sleep. It's why animals move around when they sleep. And it's why human beings, I suppose, if they lie on their backs, they tend to move the least because there's the least pressure on the organs. But of course, for an animal like this to lie on their backs, it's very difficult. And Caitlin, you've noticed these lions are fast asleep. They're not doing anything at all. And you're wondering, how long does a lion sleep for a day? Caitlin, you won't believe me if I tell you. A lion sleeps for up to 20 hours of the day. Remember, there are only 24 hours in a day, and for only 4 of those hours, a lion is awake. The rest of the time, fast asleep, doing nothing at all. And if they've got a big kill, let's pretend they'd killed a giraffe around here, well, then they would be asleep for probably even more than 20 hours of the day. They'd only wake up to have something to eat. And Ryan, you're interested in who hunts, the males or the females. I'm sure you've heard that the females do most of the hunting. It's probably not entirely true that the females do all the hunting, but they probably do more hunting than the males. And that's because the males are busy protecting the territory. They walk around protecting the territory, but they also steal a lot of food, the males. They steal from all the other predators, and they even steal from the lionesses. So although you've heard, I've no doubt, that a hyena is the biggest scavenger out here, strictly speaking, actually, a male lion is more of a scavenger than even a hyena is. There they are, breathing heavily because they're so full. All right, Riley, you want to know how long lions live for. Riley, they live in this area probably 10 to 12 years, sometimes up to 15 years. But they don't have a very long life, and that's because they fight a lot with other lions around here. The male lions especially, they only live to about 10 to 12 years because they're fighting with other male lions all the time. All right, I think we're probably going to move on from here, and while we do that, let's head across to Sam. He's got some big buffalo to show you.
A big buffalo is sitting next to a watering hole here. You can see the mud is on top of his boss there. He's got a red-billed oxpecker that is picking all the different ticks out of his head. You can see he's quite old because he's very sitting on his own out here in the bushveld. Good afternoon, Mrs. Gown, Mr. Connery, and Three Oaks Elementary. It is fantastic to have you out here in the bush this afternoon. Hopefully we're going to be able to bring you into the experience of this place to show you some of the birds, some of the flowers, some animals, and potentially talk a little bit more about communities and populations of animals and how ecosystems work. Let's just go back to this buffalo just over here. Grace would like to know what trees grow in this area. So the tree that is just in focus, well, out of focus, coming into focus, are 2 different trees. So we've got a bush willow that's on the left there, the bigger one there, that is one of the trees, and the elephants love the bush willows. They come and they strip the bark, they strip the leaves off these trees, and that is a delicious meal for an elephant. On the right of that, look at all those thorns on that tree. It is an acacia tree, and that is a tree that's also loved by some of the elephants out here. But look at the size of those thorns. You don't want to get one of those in your foot because it is exceptionally sore. I've had that. Ooh, just have a look at the end of those branches. You can see they've been snapped off. So most likely an elephant came down here, put his trunk around the branches, and then snapped off the branches and ate them. So that is an acacia tree, which looks like a flaky thorn acacia. And so we're just down by the watering hole, and this buffalo is sitting down by the water hole. And we just got a question in from Kira and Sam about how what the water situation is like down here in the Sabi Sands where we're at. So just to our left here is a watering hole, and it's called Treehouse Dam, and this is where we get some of the water. But this water, I'm not sure if it's pumped or not, but some of the water up here in this area is pumped. So we do bring some water to these watering holes, but most of the watering holes are drying up. It's a conversation I've just had with our cameraman a little bit earlier, who's Brian, and we spoke about how that is going to be a problem in the drying months that are to come in the next few weeks. We at the moment are coming to the end of our summer season, which was supposed to be our rainfall season, but we are now coming into the drier months, which is the winter season. So we had freezing cold mornings, and we'll come into a very, very hot afternoon like today. So this morning I was wearing jackets and all those little things to try and keep warm. Alex would like to know, what is freezing cold for us? Alex, freezing cold for us is when you've got gloves on and a beanie on and you've got a big jacket on, and of course you would like to know a temperature. So I'd say it gets, in the morning it must get below 5. It must be around 5 degrees Celsius. In Fahrenheit, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. We'll see if I can get an answer on the degrees that it gets in the early mornings, but it gets warmer during the day. So we'll start off at a very, very cold temperature, and then we'll heat up during the day. So it gets to around 39 degrees Fahrenheit in the early morning. Sometimes it'll go below 0, but that's not that often. How cold does it get where you are? You're in Virginia, is that correct? By Virginia Beach. That's a very, very beautiful place. You've got some amazing animals that are around that area. Some of you guys wanted to know about trees. On our left here is a marula tree. It's quite close to our vehicle. You can see that it has got all those white marks on the tree. Almost look like someone has been hitting golf balls against this tree. And this tree creates a beautiful tasting fruit called the marula fruit. And it goes all the way up, and you'll see those white marks up there. That's an indication that it is a marula tree, and the one animal that loves the fruits of this tree is the elephant. You'll see elephants coming from miles away to come to the marula tree and collect some of the marula fruits that fall down from that marula tree. So we've already seen 3 different plant species on our drive this afternoon. We've seen a big buffalo, and buffalo are one of our most dangerous animals to view on foot. Peyton would like to know how long buffalo live for. They can live up to 20 years. That's around their life expectancy. Around that, probably somewhere in between below plus minus 20 years is the life of a buffalo. But elephants can live to quite a bit longer, like around 30 to 40 years. Bailey would like to know how big buffaloes get. A couple tons, so they can get up to, I think, 2 tons. They can get very, very heavy. So I should have a good estimation of that. It's almost like our vehicle. So they can, that's a bit big. Our vehicle's very, very big. So about 2 buffaloes would be the size of this vehicle. But they're very, very, very heavy, especially when they get to that old age. But we've got an elephant. We've been talking about elephants this afternoon. James has got an elephant for you. Let's go and see how that is doing.
Seeing a leggy. And there, everybody, is the true king of the jungle, or the bush, or the wild, the great African elephant. There's a whole herd of them having a drink at the dam there. There's some more just next to us eating. It's probably 3 or 4 different herds together coming down to drink. And this, as we go into the dry season, is very common to find. It's very common to find these elephants coming together because the water is very concentrated. It's all in the same place. Isn't that nice? Marvelous to see some elephants. I'm very excited to see them. We've also got something else here to show you. See there? That's called a stick insect. Look at it. It looks just like a stick. And unfortunately, this guy, he's an insect, so he's supposed to have 6 legs. Unfortunately, this fellow has only got 3 legs, or no, he's got 5 legs. There we go. You can see him using them now. But he's missing his back leg there. Oops. Anyway, we'll leave him be. And look at the elephants. Hannah, you very cleverly want to know, is this water salt water or is it not? It's fresh water, Hannah. It's a little bit salty. It's not quite fresh like out of a bottle, but it's not like seawater, and certainly human beings can drink it. This stuff's probably a bit dirty for us to drink, but it's not too salty for us to drink. There are lots of elephants now coming quite close by. And Sam, what a very good question as we watch a young bull coming towards us. You want to know how you can tell the age of an elephant. Well, the age of an elephant is, you kind of need a bit of experience, Sam. Basically, an elephant never stops growing, and so that makes it a little bit easier. Up until the age that they are 18 months old, they can fit underneath their mother's bellies. Let me just move a bit so that we can see them properly. Oh, can't get the car in gear. And there we go. There's a really nice view of them. But otherwise, I'm afraid, Sam, it's very difficult to tell unless you've got experience of them. So I'll try and tell you the ages of some of the ones we're looking at. I think let's follow this herd because they're going into some nice open areas where they're probably going to find some stuff to eat. So that young bull, when you asked Sam, I'd say he's probably about 18 years old. And 18 years old, whoops. 18 years is not very old, but he's about to go off on his own. He's about to become independent, a bit like a human being. When they're 18, they're almost ready to be independent on their own. But remember, just like humans, some elephants will be bigger than others genetically. Grace, you want to know how long they grow? Well, they grow their whole lives. Unlike us, we stop growing, of course, girls when they're about 18, boys.
So we are now in the open clearing. It's called quarantine, and we are going to see if we can find ourselves some antelope. This is the one area where we often find some impala. So we're going to drive in this area to see if we can see them. They live in big groups, these impala, where one male will be looking after a number of females. So the reason why you are with me and not James anymore is because sometimes we lose the signal because we're live. Everything that's happening, what you hear me saying, is all in real time. It's happening right now. And we're out here in the bush, and sometimes we have a problem with our technicals. So that's why you cut to me quickly from those elephants. So there's 2 teams out here. There's me and James. We're working to see if we can find new animals. We're going to go up here to see if we can find. Jalen wants to know, what is the best part of being a guide? You know, Jalen, the best part of being a guide is being able to see the sunrise and the sunset every single day, and being a part of the natural world and really connecting with other animals and leopards and lions to see the way in which other animals view this beautiful planet that we live in. So that's probably the best reason for being a guide, is that we get to learn a little bit more about this life on Earth, which is very cool. Ben would like to know, how long has the park been here for? So the park, I think, was established in the 1960s, the Sabi Sands. I have to get back on those facts, but the parks were made over the last century, and when the settlers came in and they created land ownership. So over the last 100 years, people have been looking after the different pieces of land out here in South Africa and protecting the wildlife. Otherwise, this wildlife would turn into cattle and all that sort of stuff. So we're very, very lucky to still have wilderness here in South Africa. At the moment, I'm sitting on a reserve called Djuma Game Reserve. We're going to see if we can find, there's lots of tracks of different animals here. So there's tracks of the zebra. You know, do you remember which one the zebra is? Zebra is black and white stripes. So while we go look for a zebra, because I can see their tracks everywhere, let's go and see how James is doing with the elephants.
So we're going to talk very quietly now, everybody. The herd of elephants is going to come past us. I don't want them to be frightened by the sound of my voice, so I'm just going to speak quietly like this. We'll get a lovely view of this herd of elephants, led by the female. I think probably that big cow in front, not the one walking there, but the one behind her, behind that scraggly tree that you can see. I think that's the matriarch. And she will lead them as they go around finding nice places for them to find plants to eat and obviously towards the water. They'll drink probably once or twice a day. You can see that the trees that these elephants are standing next to have been eaten many times by elephants, just like the one a little bit behind there, Viam, is eating. See? And Sierra, you want to know how long an elephant's trunk is? Well, an elephant's trunk depends on the age of the elephant, Sierra. A little elephant, a baby newborn elephant, has a trunk that's probably about 1.5 feet long. That's about 18 inches. Look in front of us, Viam. Look there. That's the matriarch. The matriarch is watching us carefully. That's not the little one. That's the child of the little one. And the matriarch is watching us, and I can tell she's doing that because she's opening her ears. And the little one is saying, look how big and strong I am. See, holding his ears out to show us how big he is. He's a little bit nervous, and his trunk is probably about 2 feet long, and I'd say he's about 18 months old. See, he's suckling now. Look, he's suckling. And then a big bull elephant, Sierra, is probably got a trunk at least 6 feet long. And Mason, you want to know what elephants eat? Well, they eat trees, they eat leaves and twigs and bark and seeds and fruits and grass and anything basically that grows out of the ground. They're vegetarians, but they will eat any kind of vegetable matter just about. Now, that's not to say they don't have what preferences or they don't select certain different kinds of food, but they like to eat any kind of vegetation. And they have to be very unfussy, unlike us human beings. And that's because they have to eat so much. A big bull elephant can eat probably 660 pounds of food in one day. Let me say that again. 660 pounds of food in one day. Now, this elephant is probably about 10 or 11 years old, coming towards us, probably a young bull, just trying to decide how strong he thinks he is. And I think that these old bulls, just like you guys, at least these young bulls, just like you guys in the class and you girls, I think they get bored, and so they like to come and see us. And Grace, we saw that little one. That little one is probably, like I say, 18 months old or 1 year and a half. You want to know how much the little ones are when they're born? They are 220 pounds. Can you believe that? 100 kilograms or 220 pounds. Look at this little one coming to say hello to us. And like I say to you, I think these youngsters are bored. So that one's probably about 6 or 7 years old. So between that one and the one on the right-hand side, about the same age as you guys are. I'm just ducking out the way. There I am. And I think they just like to come and have a bit of entertainment with us. Ava, this is a very, very clever question from you. Of course, we know that not all plants in the wilderness are very good for animals to eat. They're not always very good for anyone to eat. And you want to know how an animal knows if a plant is poisonous or not. Ava, I think an animal, like an elephant, knows because they're told. The older ones tell the younger ones what's good to eat and what isn't. I think also they are very sensitive to taste, and they can taste probably if something is going to be poisonous or bad for them. Unlike us, well, I mean, we can also taste that, but, you know, we've got so used to eating things that aren't from nature that I think we've lost the ability to tell what's good for us and what isn't. Whereas I think you'll find with elephants and other animals that live out here, they're able to tell what's good for them and what isn't good for them. There's a wonderful elephant sighting. Not many big bulls, no big bulls with them. And so we're going to reposition the car. Oh, and let's go and have a look. Sam's got something very special to show you.
Have a look at these small little chicks. They are the chicks of the crested francolin. We just managed to spot them there. Hopefully we can get another look at them. That's the mother. Look at the crest on its, above its eye. They are the smallest little chicks I've seen of a francolin, and there's the mother. So hopefully we get to see those young little ones again. Could have moved off now. Sophia wants to know, how warm does it get over here? Sophia, it can get up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. There they go. Beautiful, look at that. That is so cool. Oh, that is so sweet. It's a tiny little crested francolin. I really wanted, oh, it's dust bathing as well. This is such a special sighting. So that's how they clean themselves. They clean themselves, or they're going underneath. Great filming by Brian. Brian's our cameraman, and he just managed to get that. That's very special. So all the little chicks have gone underneath her breast. And that they'll do that over the whole night, because it gets cold, as I said, it gets very cold. And the chicks have now gone beneath that crested francolin's body. Isn't that cool? What a sighting that was. See you later, Mrs. Crested Francolin. Look after those little baby chicks. That was awesome. Ooh, from Crested Francolin dust bathing to elephants dust bathing.
We're just easing our way, everybody, into this herd. They're going to go into some very thick bush, I think, over there, and then we won't be able to follow them. So we'll just very slowly come up behind them. And I think you'll find that these two here, who are now having a little bit of a fight, see how they put the trunks in each other's mouths? That's just to give each other comfort. It's kind of a familiarity. They're two young bulls, and they don't like to be too much in the middle of the herd. They like to hang out on the fringes. A bit like you young chaps. When you go off to the mall with your family, you like to be a little bit behind. Look at this one picking up a stick and playing with it. Bailey, you want to know how they form herds? Well, that's actually quite a good question, Bailey. They form herds basically with their families, in the same way that you form a family, except the families here consist of the females and their youngsters. So let's pretend there's a cow on her own, that's a female elephant on her own. If she has a baby, And we actually had the situation here. She has a baby and it's a female. That female will stay with her. She will eventually grow up enough to have her own baby. And if that baby is a female, she'll stay with her. And so the herd gets bigger and bigger. But if the babies are males, when they're 18, they leave the herd. So this herd will be made up of females, and the youngsters, and the young bulls. And we've got a very special herd of elephants on this reserve here. And the special herd of elephants consists of a female who's lost the bottom third of her trunk, and she's got a very new herd of 3 of her youngsters. And Ben, you want to know how many elephants there are in a herd? Well, anything from 4, that's the smallest one that we have here at the moment. Look at these 2 bulls having a fight, just like you guys when you like to have a bit of a fight on the playground. That's what these 2 are doing. They're probably about your age, 9 years old each. Then it can be from 4 up to, sometimes you hear reports of herds of 1,000 elephants. But that's very unusual, not so much in this area. In this area, there are probably normally about 15 elephants in a herd. We go a little bit further forward. You can see them eating the same kind of tree they were eating just now. That's called a red thorn. And if you look carefully, you can see why it's called a red thorn, because the top of the tree, you can see the bark there is red-brown color. And that's why it's called a red thorn. You can see the elephants have eaten this tree many, many times. Young bull. That's a really nice picture of a young bull elephant. Like I say, about 9 years old. See him eating the thorns there? Isn't that wonderful? Those thorns, everybody, are vicious. They're very long, pointed thorns. Like needles. Tristan, a very nice question from you. I'm very glad that we're not actually watching this. You're saying, why do elephants stampede sometimes? Well, Tristan, I want you to imagine that you guys are on the playground at school, and then suddenly an alarm goes off. Somebody shouts, fire, fire, or there's an alarm. What does everybody do? They all run in one direction, don't they? It's exactly the same reason that an elephant or a buffalo or anything else starts to stampede. They're afraid. And so an elephant will only stampede if they're very afraid of something. There's another one. I'm just going to reverse into position here. And Liam, as we look at that elephant digging with his feet and picking things up with his trunk, you want to know, how does an elephant defend itself? Well, Liam, those tusks are very good for defense. They also use their trunks for, if there's a small enemy, they will also use their feet. And so if they catch something that is trying to harm them, they will often stab it with their tusks, or stamp on it with their feet, or hit it with their trunks. So lots of different ways. Of course, an elephant's main defense, Liam, is the fact that he's so very big. So although lions and hyenas will try and eat little elephants, these big ones are very, very difficult for any large predator to eat. Ryan, you want to know if they use their trunks to fight with each other? Yes, they do sometimes, but normally when they fight with each other, they bash their heads together, just like those 2 young bulls were doing, and then they lock their tusks and smack their tusks together. Now that, I think, must be quite sore for them, because the tusks, if you open your mouth and touch the top 2 teeth that you have in your mouth, your top 2 front incisors, these 2, that's what these tusks are. They've grown right out of the side of the mouth. So I think it must be very sore for them to be fighting with them. Well, Monica, we've just had the situation that you've described. At that first waterhole where we first saw the elephants, we saw 3 distinct herds, 3 different herds of elephants. And you say, what would happen if they met up with each other? Well, Monica, not very much. They would probably greet each other. Much like human beings, if they know each other, then they'll probably be quite familiar. They'll put their trunks in each other's mouths, and that's how they'll say hi. Otherwise, they'll just ignore each other. They would only fight if there were bulls in must. So those are bulls that are ready to mate. if a bull in must comes across another bull in must, sometimes they will fight each other. But the herds are not territorial, and so they don't fight with each other. Hello, Mrs. Shuffler. Mrs. Shuffler, you want to know if we'd ever intervene to help an elephant if it was injured. Not in this area, no. I mean, if it was caused by what we call an anthropogenic effect, so if there was a human cause to the injury that an elephant had, then yes, we would probably help them. If an elephant's sick or starving or very thirsty or diseased, then no, we won't. Because normally we try and just let nature take its course out here. That's not always possible, but to a large extent we try not to interfere as much as possible. Nice question. These elephants are going off into the bush here, and so I think we're probably going to leave them. We'll go back down to the water and see if we can see some others there. And Grace, very clever question from you, of course, because we were watching this elephant eat this thorny tree here. Now let me just quickly pick you or show you some of this thorny tree. I don't want to get out of the car here. Look at these thorns on this thorny tree. Well, that's a bad example. Hang on a second. There we go. Look at those nasty thorns. Grace, I don't rightly know how they managed to put that in their mouths. Imagine putting that in your mouth, how much it would hurt you. I think they are able to do it because their tongues are very thick. They're like sort of thick leather, and so it doesn't really hurt them very much. I also think the skin around the mouth and all over their skin is able to regenerate, so it heals very quickly if it gets hurt. I just want to show you something. If we take this thorn, look how sharp it is. You see that? It's very sharp. You go right into my finger. See how brave I am, Ben? Yes. Kids, please don't do that where you are at home. There's no need. I just wanted to show you how sharp it was, and I didn't draw any blood. It's not really, so I just put it into the skin. But they are very sharp thorns. So don't go home and start. Don't go home and start sticking thorns into yourself. Sorry, you'll have to go again with that, Rebecca. Daily, you're interested in what happens to an elephant's mum, or to an elephant if its mum dies. What happens to the baby? Well, elephants are one of the very few creatures out here, Daily, who will actually look after each other, who will adopt each other. So if a mother dies, if there's another female who's got milk, she will adopt the baby and look after it until it's an adult. Most species out here, that doesn't happen. If the mother dies, then the baby dies as well. Just trying to see if any of the others are around here, but I'm not sure that they are. You see any there, Vim? Not. Aidan, you want to know how these guys clean their tusks? Well, I'm not sure that they do clean their tusks hugely, but they can rub them against trees. They can rub their tusks, their trunks against the tusks, but I think they stay clean from use. So in the same way that, I guess there's nothing really the same, they use them all the time to scrape off bark and break trees and that sort of thing, and that constant use keeps them shiny. I want to show you something up here, and I'm just going to go past where it happened. There was a leopard around here today, and he killed something, and he put it in a tree. And I just want to show you what he did. We don't know where he's gone. He's disappeared from here. And I'll show you how a leopard
So James was sticking acacia thorns in his finger to show you how sharp they are. They are very sharp. I don't know if he was bleeding by the end of that. I hope not. But we are now... Please don't do that at home though. Please. Please don't try and put thorns in your finger. It's not a good idea. It'll hurt. But here we are, we're in the very, very thick bush, and this is the one area where we can find the secretive antelope like the kudu and the impala, as well as the predators such as a leopard. So we're going through here quite slowly to see what we can find. We just went to the hyena den. The hyena den was empty, there was nothing there. There was no hyenas. The hyenas will probably be back a little bit later. It's a little bit too early for the hyenas. There we go, underneath the trees. So right over here is what we call a termite mound. And a termite mound is so important here in the bush. It provides for so much life. So the termites are a type of ant which will create those big, big mounds, and leopards and cheetah and all sorts of predators will go to the top of those mounds and look over them as vantage sites, which means they'll look above them and look down, and they'll go and see if they can find any kudu or nyala or a bushbuck. So we're saying goodbye to the one class. I'm not sure what that class was. If it's the class from Three Oaks, it's been pleasant. We've seen some very cool animals this afternoon. Please send us any pictures. If you want to draw your favorite thing that you saw on drive today, send us a picture on #SafariLIVE. Otherwise, we're starting with a new school. Let's go out on safari, see what we can find. We're now... Oh, a new class from the same school. So, new class, ask some questions, let us know what your favorite animal is, what would you like to see out on safari this afternoon, and hopefully we can find it for you as we drive through the thick bush. But for the meanwhile, while we're driving through here, let's go see what James is doing.
Now, I'm warning you, everybody, this is going to be a little bit gross, okay? So just be brave. This is perfectly normal. It's what happens out here. Inside this tree that we're looking at is a dead antelope called a duiker. And that duiker was killed by a beautiful male leopard, and he's put the duiker up in the tree because this is safe now from the hyenas and the lions which would steal it from him. Now, I saw him this morning, but he's not here right now. I'm hoping he's going to come back when it gets a little bit darker. But isn't that interesting? That is how a leopard keeps his prey safe. And a leopard is probably about the same size as a mountain lion that you have over there. And I know a mountain lion is probably the biggest cat that you have in America there, but they're not the biggest cats that we have here. The lions are about twice the size of the leopards, well, female and male anyway. Right, let's leave this gross thing here. We're going to try and see if we can see some hyenas at the hyena den, which isn't far from here. We might lose signal again. If we do, I'm very sorry. But we don't want to stay around that smelly piece of meat for too long. On we go. Very lucky to see all those elephants. There are no more at the water. They've all finished drinking and they've gone. Grace, nice question from you. We've just seen the water, and you want to know if there are any turtle in the park. We don't have turtles here at all. Turtles only occur in the sea. What we have here are tortoises, and I know you do get tortoises in North America, and a tortoise moves around on the land, doesn't go in the water, and then we have terrapins. And terrapins, lots of them, they're like turtles, but they live in fresh water. So remember, you asked me about whether that was salt water or fresh water earlier. It is fresh water, and because of that, we get terrapins that go into the fresh water, and that's where they live. They eat algae, and they eat insects, and sometimes they eat birds that come down to drink. They grab them like little crocodiles almost. Not too far from here is a termite mound, and a termite... I believe there's a new class joining us. Mrs. Bear? Hello? Welcome, all of you. Not sure how old you are. Rebecca, what ages are we looking at here? 9 to 10, same age, same school, great stuff, welcome. Lovely to have you with us from Three Oaks Elementary School, Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're just heading towards a hyena den now, where hopefully we'll find some hyenas. This particular one here, no action there. But just as the sun goes down, what happens is that the adult hyenas come towards the den and they start to feed the junior little baby hyenas, which live in the termite mound. Now, a termite mound, if you don't know, is basically an enormous castle of clay. Here's a really small example over here. If you don't mind showing us that one there, Liam. So that you can see is a mound of soil and clay built by hundreds of thousands of termites. And that's their soil, their dung, and their saliva, which sticks together that cement-like stuff. And it's really hard. Let me just show you quickly how hard it is. Rather than sit here all afternoon, let me get out and stretch my legs. If I can get out of the car. Oh dear, I seem to be leaving bits of myself behind. There we go. See how hard it is? Really hard. It's like cement. There's only one animal that's able to get in there, and that animal, of course, is called the aardvark. Now, this is also pretty gross, I suppose, to some of you who don't know what elephant dung is. But this is elephant dung, and can you see the holes in it? Inside the holes are the termites that built that mound, and they'll come out of this termite mound, eat the dung, and carry it back inside there. You can see the holes there. Let's open it up. Now, this is not very fresh elephant dung, and you can see what an elephant eats here. Let's have a look. Here, that's a bit of grass stalk. Then over here, we've got some leaf. There's a bit of leaf there. So this elephant's been eating grass and been eating leaves of trees. You see that? And it's, what else has it got? There's no fruit in here. Oh, here's a little piece of fruit in my hand, but not much fruit. So you can see the elephants eat lots of different kinds of things. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking this is really gross, but it isn't, because elephants eat only vegetation, and so it's not very smelly. This stuff, it's still quite fresh, so it's not very nice to smell. But if you smell elephant dung when it's like a week old, it smells really delicious. It smells sort of like herbs, like potpourri almost. And you can ask your teachers what potpourri is. It doesn't smell like dung at all. Not so, Via.
Agreed.
All righty, let's go and see if these hyenas are at home. Plug myself in so I can hear Rebecca. Oh, what a very clever question from Austin. Excuse me. You say, do we have badgers here? We do. We don't often see them. I've seen only 2 since I've been here. I've been here about a year. But I've seen many around this area over the years, and our badgers are called honey badgers, and I'm sure you've seen YouTube clips of them. That's probably why you're asking about them. Very clever, very kind of aggressive, very strong, very angry little things. And once we're in the hyena den, if none of you don't know what a badger is, I'll show you a picture. Then a question from Lister. Lister, you want to know if we name the animals out here. Some of the animals we do, like the leopards, for example, because we see them quite a lot, and they've developed, they live in a sort of territory that we know very obviously, and so yes, we name them sometime. Our most famous leopard here is called Kurula, which means the peaceful one. In the local language here, the local language is called Xitsonga or Shangaan, and we call her Kurula, and her daughter is called Shadow, and her other daughter is called Tandi, which means love. And then the lions we don't name individually normally, we normally just name the pride. So that pride of lions that we saw earlier is called the Nkuhumas pride, And they're named after a very famous tree here called a brown ivory tree. And they're called the Nkuhumas pride. And Hannah, you want to know what hyenas eat. Don't see any hyenas here at the moment, which makes me very sad. But we'll just sit for a little while. I'll show you where they live. Hannah, hyenas eat anything to do with meat, basically. Anything to do with meat and bones and animal products. So they will hunt on their own, so they eat impala, fresh impala. They'll eat duiker, like the ones in the tree there. In fact, there are many tracks underneath the tree where that duiker was sitting, indicating that the hyenas have been waiting there for pieces to drop down. And they will eat big bones, elephant bones and giraffe bones and all sorts of different kinds of bones. And there's the hyena den, you can see, and they live in those holes. I'm sure the little ones are here inside, but they're not going to come out because the adults are not here. And so we'll sit here for 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll disappear and see what else we can find. I suspect because the lions are very close by, the adults are not here, and so the babies are inside. Anyway, Grady, you want to know what adaptations a hyena's got? I'm just very sad we don't have one to actually show you. Let's wait while I answer your question. Maybe they'll pitch up. And hyena's got a number of very special adaptations. The most important one, though, is that they've got very powerful jaws. Very powerful jaws. Their bite is they've got the most powerful jaws of any of the carnivores out here, and that allows them to bite through bones. They can crush heavy bones like giraffe bones, and they can get the marrow out of the bones, which is very nutritious. No other animal out here has jaws powerful enough to do that, so that's the most important adaptation they have. The other adaptation they have is that they're built like a wildebeest, if you like. They've got very heavy front and very light behind, which means that they can move. They're quite slow, much faster than us, but they're quite slow compared to the other animals here, but they can go long, long distances without getting tired. Let's head across to Sam. He's got our most common antelope.
So we are sitting now with some impalas, which are a type of antelope that we get out here in the bush. You can see the one in the beautiful light over there in the sun that's shining on it is a female. And we know it's a female because it doesn't have horns, but look at that, there's one just behind it that has horns, and that is clearly a male impala. And he is the only male in this group, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 females and just one male. So it's that time of year when the males will be fighting to look after these females, and that is the way in which they reproduce. And this male will only be able to be here for about a week. So Kayla would like to know, what sort of time will the animals come out? Well, there's 2 different types of animals that will go out. There'll be the diurnal animals, which are mainly these impala that we're seeing here and the other animals, and, well, antelopes. And you get the animals of the nighttime, which are the nocturnal animals, which will be the owls and the hyena and the bats, which will be coming out in probably about 2 hours from now. And then we'll be able to see some of those. So hopefully if you guys stay on after your safari, we can have a look at some of the night animals that like to be out here in the bush. But I know that at school that you are studying population, community and ecosystems. So over here we can see is a population of impala, which is just that species. Is the number of species in an area. And when you learn about a community will be the impala, and another kudu species, or another antelope species like the kudu, and another species like the inyala. So a community is a group of populations that live in one area, and this is one population here of impalas. So I know that you've been learning that at school, and you'll see there they are grazing on the ground. Landon would like to know, do ticks affect humans as well? Do they affect animals as they affect humans? Yes. Great question, Landon. You'll see that there's a few birds that fly around. They're not here at the moment, but they are called oxpeckers, and they will be picking off all the ticks that are on these mammals. So they do affect them quite badly. But look at them. Their ears are raised. Why are their ears raised? sometimes in the bush, that'll tell us that something's around. So they've just gone back to grazing. But when you're out here looking at animals and you all of a sudden see them all listening and got their ears out like that, that means that they could potentially be a predator in the mix somewhere out there in the bush. So there's many, many different ways to tracking a lion or a leopard. Kaiten would like to know, are there any insects, any tree species that will make the antelope quite sick? Yes, there very well are some of those. I'm going to see if I can find you one right now. It wouldn't make them sick, but it's more like they wouldn't eat it because it doesn't taste nice. So I'm going to get one for you right now. I'm going to do you a favor by eating it. This is called a silver cluster leaf over here. Silver cluster leaf. It's got high in tannins, which is a type of chemical reaction that this tree makes. So there's two different defenses that trees will have. A chemical defense, so inside here.
Delicious.
Ugh. I don't want to eat the whole... Oh, man, it's not nice. It's basically... It dries your whole mouth out. It's horrible. It's horrible. So the animals don't like this one, as I don't like it, as you can quite clearly see by my eyes cringing here. But that is a defense mechanism that plants have made to stop or deter other animals from eating it. Isn't that clever? Quickly, let's go to James and see what he's doing.
There's a very special antelope, everyone, called a kudu, and that's a baby one. Well, not a baby one, a young female, a young cow, and she's standing on the termite mound there, huge termite mound, so that she can get a view of what's going on all around here. And because we have what we call gently undulating topography, it means the area is quite flat. That little mound there gives her a great view of all the surrounding areas, so she can see the rest of her little herd, probably 4 or 5 females. There was one big bull around here. There's another one. See how well camouflaged she is there? And the females in these don't have horns. I'm just sorry that the big bull who was here is not here anymore, because he is an amazing looking animal. Now, Mason, I don't know if you were with us when we were looking at those lions earlier on, but we were discussing how they have a very short gestation period. They carry their babies for a very short time, and so they have 3 or 4 or 5 or sometimes 6 cubs. But an antelope like this, you want to know how many babies an antelope can have. Mason, normally only one. Very, very, very unusually will they have twins. And one, because when it's born, an antelope is quite big. A bit like a horse. I wonder how many of you have seen a horse being born on TV, perhaps, or even a deer being born on TV. You see how they stand up very quickly. You may even have seen a wildebeest being born on TV. They get up 20 minutes after they're born, they're up and they're running. And they can only do that because they spend such a long time in the belly. And to spend such a long time in the belly, it means they have to be very big, and that means there can only be one. And I just wanted to quickly show you a picture of a badger, which you were asking about a little bit earlier. I'll quickly find a picture of a badger in my little book, my special little book. And there he is there. That's the badger, honey badger, short tail with that white mantle along the top, and in Afrikaans called a ratel. Do you know why it's called a ratel, Wim?
No.
I think it's because of the noise he makes. Doesn't he make a rattling noise? I mean, when he's angry, he goes... And he's a vicious thing. You don't want to be in trouble with the ratel. Sean, a very concerned question from you, and a good one. What do we do when the animals hurt each other? Sean, we don't do anything. We don't do anything at all with the animals. They have to deal with that. If they hurt each other, then they have to just kind of deal with it. And the other day we had a warthog, which was very sad. And the warthog was injured, quite badly injured, and she had pieces of her actually hanging out. And that had happened from another warthog or maybe a predator, but we couldn't help her. We try and not to interfere out here in nature, but that's a good question. Thank you. Let's see what else we can see up here. Oh, a very famous guitar player asking us a question now, Santana. You want to know if any of the animals chase us around in the vehicle? No, not normally. Sometimes an elephant will get very cross and can chase us, but that doesn't happen often at all. It's very unusual for an elephant to chase a car, but it does sometimes happen. Here comes Sam. What he's doing on this road is anyone's guess, but I'm sure he'll tell us when we get near him. See what else we can find on our way down here. Hello, Sam. Where are you going?
We're about to go watch the sunset, eh?
Where?
Over there.
Oh, very nice. Well, enjoy it.
How you
We're supposed to shake hands, apparently, when we see each other. There's Bryan, everybody. That's what he looks like. He's enormous, isn't he? He's bigger than Sam and I. All right, we're going to see if we can find a few more animals.
Probably see you just now, eh?
Yes,
Enjoy
you
it.
certainly will.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh. Callista, you say, was I scared on my first drive? No, not on my first drive, but before I started driving, I had to do lots of walks through here, and I had to walk all this whole area without any on my own, all alone, and then I was scared to start with because I didn't know how the animals would react to us. But slowly, over time, I realized that most of the animals were scared of human beings, and so while I'm never out here, I'm never totally not looking around, I'm always looking around, making sure I can see what's going on. I don't feel scared anymore, I'm just aware. And the same thing goes when we drive around here. We're aware, we make sure that we're looking all the time, listening and making sure we know how the animals are going to react to us. Grady, you want to know if those kudu have got any natural predators? Absolutely. The lions are very natural predators of those kudu. They will definitely try and eat those kudu if they can get them. And I think those lions are going to get active probably once the sun has gone down. They'll start to move around, and then where do I want to go? I want to go down this way. And then the kudu will be in danger, so they'll have to be very careful. That's why they've got those big ears. You saw how big its ears were. And those ears are to hear any predators that might want to come and bite it. Landon, yes, what a very good question from you. You saw that the kudu had got sort of white striping down the side, and you say, why did an animal have stripes? Well, an animal has stripes, Landon, mainly to camouflage it, so that when we drive past, or a predator like a lion or a leopard or a hyena walks past, they stand very still, those stripes will help them to blend into the bush. Sometimes also, in the case of a zebra, what happens with their stripes is that their stripes confuse the predators. So the stripes, as they move through the bush, makes the predator's eyes go sort of funny, and then it becomes difficult for the predator to pick out which zebra they want to eat. Sophia, you're interested in whether oxpeckers get sick from eating ticks. No, they don't get sick from eating ticks at all. Ticks are very good for them because ticks are full of blood, and blood is delicious if you're an oxpecker and also if you're a vampire. But we don't have many vampires out here, Sophia. So ticks are actually really good for the animals. Shall we have a quick look at the sunset, everyone? Have you ever seen an African sunset? There's a beautiful African sunset, and we get to see one of those every single year. Aren't we lucky? At least every single day. Viam watches it once a year. The rest of us watch it every day, don't you, Viam? But this is your last one of the year, is it?
Unless there's a leopard in front of it.
In front of it, yes. And you'll read about the African sunset in storybooks and in old legends. And Sarah, you're worried about all the plants here that get eaten by so many animals, all those elephants, some of the big bull elephants eating up to 300 kilograms of food at a time. You want to know if we ever have to replant any of the plants. No, Sarah, we don't have to replant the plants. The plants survive on their own, and they survive on their own because they produce thousands of seeds. Every tree that we go past, for example, this tree here, which Sam was just eating, produces thousands and thousands of seeds. And many of those seeds won't grow, but many will. And you can see all around here, these low-hanging bushes here. Those weren't planted by anyone except Mother Nature. See, and they probably come from this one tree over here. Thank you for that, Sarah. Righty, let's see what else we can see. I'm hoping something's going to come onto the clearing here. And Callista, you're worried about pollution. And does the water here ever get polluted? Well, it does a little bit because it gets polluted by animals that come and sit in it, and they put their dung in it, and they urinate in it. But that's not pollution for the animals. They don't mind that. They can cope with it. Although we couldn't drink water like that, the animals are happily able to drink water like that. So I suppose it does get polluted to a certain extent, but not a huge amount. But some of the rivers which come into the reserve, they come down from outside the reserve, they come in, they run through human villages, and then those rivers can be polluted. And there's also mining that goes up in the mountains. There are mountains off to the west of us where they pull stuff out of the ground. They pull gold and copper and coal out of the ground, and that can pollute the rivers quite badly. And that water then flows into this area, and that can cause a problem for us. Very clever question, thank you. All right, let's head across to Sam. You're going to get 2 African sunsets in just one day.
Have a look at that incredible sun that is brightening up your day on the other side of the world. It's incredible to see how big it is and how much of an influence it has on our planet. It is what is providing us with all the energy in the plants, photosynthesis, and all the great things out here. So, with that, I just also thought I would show you a piece of leaf structure over here, which is called a buffalo thorn, and it is a leaf that you can actually eat. Okay, so I've just been eating a silver cluster leaf, and I thought, well, let me taste a buffalo thorn leaf just to get the taste away from that. And it tastes quite nice. It tastes very nice, actually. I'm enjoying it. A little bit of spinach in the evening. Spinach will make you strong. So, a question that I heard from Rebecca just now was something about human impact, and let me just get that back in my ear. I just want to make a big reminder to you all that don't just eat anything out there just because you saw me eating something. Like, I want you to go out into your natural environment, pick something, don't eat it, come back, learn about what it is, and maybe you can eat it. Just don't go out there and eat it like I'm doing. I've trained to see that I can actually eat these things. Corinne would like to know what negative impact does humans have on the land here? Well, Corinne, it's a good question, we're in vehicles and we're driving, so sometimes we go off-road and we'll damage a little bit of the bush when we're driving off-road, but it's not huge. It's not a big impact that we have. So that's a bit of an impact that we have from a human point of view. And of course, in the early days, there used to be loads of hunting that was done in these areas, but there's no hunting anymore. So the human impact has decreased a lot, and it's now generally around tourism and showing people the natural world. Of course, there's other things that happen that people don't know about in all reserves, but the negative human impacts are not as many as I thought they might have been out here in the bush. We're rather becoming we're very aware, I'm sorry, I have to show you that last picture of the sunset before we go. And look, it's a beautiful lapwing. So just as you watch that sun go down, come down into one of my favorite birds, which is a crowned lapwing. Oh no, it just flew away. That's bad luck, I'm sorry. That would have been a new bird to our list. But as the sun goes down, you know, we're always trying to better ourselves as out here in the bush to see how we can decrease the impact and have a better ecological influence. And the more that we learn about our natural world, learn about the way in which lions move and integrate in ecosystems, the better we can have a human impact that isn't so bad. So we're always learning. With that sun leaving us, it's all about... Anyway, for now, we're going to go and see if we can find lions. Beautiful sunset. We'll see you just now.
We're just going down to a waterhole, everybody, and much like all of you, when you get home after a long day, the first thing you'll do is have a drink. Often with the animals, what they do is they have a drink at the end of the day. You can see the sun is set now. You watched it go down with Sam, and now comes the evening. And this is when many animals will start to get moving. Sarah, you want to know how big this park is. Well, the piece of the park that we're on is about 8,000 acres, which isn't very big. But the entire area, the Kruger National Park, and it extends east into Mozambique, which is a country to the east of us, and north into Zimbabwe, which is another country to the north of us. The entire park is about 8 million acres. 8 million acres. So that is an enormous piece of land. That is more than probably 4 times the size of Yellowstone National Park, which is, of course, your most famous national park there in the United States. What a very clever question from Matthew. Matthew, you say, what would happen if the lion or any other animal were to die out in this area? Well, Matthew, it would have a huge effect. You're absolutely right on the ecology of this area. The best example, let's take a lion. If the lions died out, well, then you'd probably find that there'd be a lot more hyenas around. There would be a lot more buffalo. They would get a lot more. There'd probably be a lot more impala and giraffe at the same time, and that would then affect the amount of grass that there is. So with all of those extra herbivores eating the grass, you'll find that there's a lot more grass, and at least a lot less grass, and so that'll make it very difficult for the grass to grow, and likewise the trees will get eaten more. So even just the removal of one species like a lion will make a big difference. So it's a very astute, very clever question from you. Thank you. Alrighty, let's carry on. Nothing having a drink here. And Brianna, a very nice question from you about where these animals are going to sleep during the cold night. Are there any caves for them? No, no caves. They just survive outside, you know. And they do that because it doesn't actually get very cold here. I know it gets a little bit cold for us, but it doesn't get anything like as cold as it does, for example, in parts of the United States. The coldest temperature it gets here is about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not very cold at all. So they don't need caves to sleep in. That said, there's a lion will leave their cubs. A young lion mother will leave her cubs in a cave, but sometimes just until they're big enough to move around on their own. But otherwise, they don't need caves. And Matthew, you want to know if animals will fight over water? Yes, they do, actually. They do fight over water. Sometimes you'll find elephants coming down to water, and the drier it gets, the more they'll have a fight with water. The more they will chase the buffalo out. The buffalo will try and fight with the rhino who are drinking or living in the water. And so, yes, they often have fights over water, but only when it gets very dry. So a bit like with human beings, we only fight over things when there isn't enough of them. What a very good question that is. And Sarah, you want to know if I ever get lost out here. Sarah, I've often got lost out here, but this particular area I know quite well now because I've been driving around it for about a year, And so because I've been driving around it for a year, I'm pretty familiar with everything that goes on this reserve. If I went to a new place, I'd get very lost, yes. Now, I'm sure as we're driving along here, you've got no idea how close we are to where we started this drive. We could be just around the corner. We could be 20 miles away. But that's just because you don't know what to look for. You haven't been here before. This is your first visit with us. And after a while, you start to get used to the road, to start to say, oh, yes, I recognize that big tree over there, or, ah, yes, I recognize this bend in the road with a termite mound on it. And Jared, you also, like many of your ilk, are worried about what's going to happen if we're attacked. Well, the thing is, Jared, you really got to make an animal very, very angry to make it attack you out here. You'll hear stories of snakes and terrifying lions and leopards, but they don't attack people unless we really make them angry. And you can only make an animal angry if you don't listen to it. So, for example, if I was tracking lions on foot, and the lions, we came across the lions, and the lions stood up and they growled at me, that growl is saying, go away, you're making me upset. If I then keep going forward towards them, they might growl a bit more and then come closer. And that's saying, you really make me upset, now go away. And if you then don't go away, well, then they might chase you. But to get to that position where you've really irritated an animal enough for it to chase you, well, you've probably been very silly. So it's very unlikely for an animal to attack you. If it does happen, what you do is normally stand still, or if it's a buffalo, you'll climb a tree very quickly to get out of the way. Landon, oh, there's a little bird in here which we're going to try and show you. It's a very special little bird called a blue waxbill. There he is. Isn't that special? You can hear him singing. Landon, you want to know how animals talk to each other when they sound all the same? Well, the first thing to remember is they probably don't have a language as complicated as ours, so they don't need as many words. But that little bird is talking to other little birds of the same species, and although the bird sounds sound very similar to us, they're not all the same at all. So every single bird out here has got its own call that every single other little bird understands. And so it's really very clever indeed. Lions, for example, communicate with little grunts, oh, or roars, big roars at night time, and sometimes with growls. And to tell you more about that, Sam is sitting with some lions.
We are back with the Nkuhumas pride, which are fast asleep right next to us. The sun has gone down, so we very well might be seeing them stretching, yawning, getting up and getting a little active. So these are all females. There are no males here. And they move together as a pride. So when you see a group of male lions, they are called a coalition. And when you find a group of females, they are called a pride. And the pride will consist of mothers and its young. Peyton would like to know, do any animals eat lions? Yes, Peyton, I mean, most of the time, no, but you'll often find sometimes, mostly with a female, like a female that's on its own, if it comes across a large group of hyenas, you know, up to 30 hyenas, a hyena will be much stronger than just one female lion. That is something that is quite rare to occur, but it has been reported where hyenas will kill a lion. Often if that lion is injured, it's also much easier. Marshall would like to know, do lions ever swim in water? Well, lions often have to cross rivers to get to the other side, so they can swim to a degree, but it's not often that they do. But we've just got an elephant that's come into the scene, Have a look at the elephant that just arrived. Good afternoon. It is a big bull elephant. There are lions here. This could be a very interesting interaction. Let's see what happens. He's grazing on top of that termite mound. So we need to be very, very careful about the way in which we interact now, because we must know that the elephant is close to the lions. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse, get to a position where I'm not in between them. You can see it's a big male. Let's just let him pass us. He is huge. He's smelling. You can smell the lions. Have a look at his behavior. He's very, very cautious. You can see he's a very, very big male. What an incredible interaction that we have just witnessed between a big, big, big male elephant. You see how he was sniffing and listening intently as he got a whiff of those lions. How incredible was that? So in those situations, you must always be careful, just in terms of knowing where the predator is and when a big elephant bull comes in. Because you don't often want to get in between them. So here are the ladies sitting back over here. They had no problem with that big elephant that came through. Not a problem in the slightest. Taylor would like to know, why would the elephant come near the lions? Well, Taylor, it wanted to have a better look. You know, sometimes it's in the interest of an animal to look and smell and see exactly where it is and what it's doing. Because if it doesn't know where it is and what it's doing and it just runs away, he won't know, or she won't know, whereabouts that smell was coming from. So an elephant of that size isn't worried too much about a pride of lion. So he'd rather just come and have a look at these lions, smell them, and then walk away on his direction, on his route that he was walking. But that was something very, very fascinating to see. Matthew would like to know, will lions eat plants, or do they just eat meat? They just eat meat, Matthew. It is their main source of diet is meat. So they'll be eating that antelope that we saw earlier, the impala. They'll eat wildebeest. They'll eat all types of different mammals out here in the bush. Most of the time they won't eat elephants. Elephants are too big, as well as hippos. But there has been reports of hippos being eaten by big prides of lion. And hippos are, I'm not sure if you've seen one today, but they are very, very big animals that live in the water. So they sit, and most of the time you'll find a hippo in the watering holes. There's the other one. So we also have a female that is not with the group here. This is cool to watch. Look, she's stretching her arms out there. There's another female that's not in this group that is thought to be very, very pregnant, and she's up quite, not so far away, about 1 kilometer to the east of us, which will be very cool. They could be cubs. Marshall would like to know, will a group of lions ever attack an elephant? Most of the time, no. It is too big for them to try and take on, but if there is a really big pride and there is a chance where they're seeing an elephant that's either very badly injured or is not able to defend itself, they will take that opportunity to get an elephant that can be taken. So most of the time, no. Sarah would like to know, have I ever seen an elephant lying down? Sarah, I have seen elephants lying down. Not many times, just a few times. And most of the times it's the young ones. The young ones will just fall down and lie next to their mothers, or play in the mud, or play in the sand, or jump in the water. So it's often the young ones that we see that are lying down. And it's also something that's very rare to see, is elephants lying down. And you're very, very privileged to see that. So maybe one day, if you come on Safari Live with us again, we'll have the opportunity to see an elephant lying down, which would be very cool. And so we're getting to that moment where we're saying goodbye to 3 Oaks Elementary and Mrs. Bear. It's been a very, very cool afternoon with all types of different animals, from predators all the way down to the mammals, such as the antelope that we saw earlier, and the big elephant that just walked in there. How cool is that? But I hope that you enjoyed it, and that you come back on a safari with us whenever you want. Please join us. It's so cool to have you. And enjoy the rest of your day. I'm not sure what time of day it is, but enjoy that sun that's just left us. And with that, we're going to go and see how James is doing on the other side of the bush.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was pulling a face at Rebecca. I hope you didn't see it. It was very, very silly indeed. I hope you did see it. Okay, Rebecca, you and I are going to have words this evening. Now, she's supposed to say 3, 2, 1, and then you're live. But obviously there's a delay with the way Sam links and, you know, that kind of thing. We seem to be, on a 10-second delay. You're lucky the only thing you've got is a funny face from me. Anyway, we checked Treehouse Dam. As you know, there was nothing there at all, nothing here around here. So we're going to do Rebecca's Road. We're hoping to find sort of evidence of shadow and or tingana, neither of whom have come to these parts lately. Lovely to have the lions. I'm assuming that you're with me because they're still lying down on their fat bellies doing not much at all. Maybe little Gajima will arrive at some time later this evening. Let's go down this road. Hello, Matthew Brown. You want to know if this car has ever broken down during safari and put me in danger? It's broken down many times. This deeply aged Land Rover, basically, yes, it breaks down a great deal. But has it ever put me in danger? No, not really. I mean, the only real danger in the vehicle would be a really angry elephant. And if the car didn't start, for example, if the elephant came at you and it was really serious about a charge. It's never happened to me. I have heard of it almost happening to some people, but it hasn't happened out here. It's just so, I mean, interestingly, and this is completely unfacetiously, this car probably breaks down more than an animal ever charges us with an intent. So, yeah, the chances of us being in danger from something like that are very slim indeed. Amazing how the temperature dropped as soon as the sun popped down over the horizon. I know it's just a termite mound, I know it is, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to shine the spotlight on it and embarrass myself regardless. I'm just trying to retrieve the spotlight now, which has managed to hide itself more effectively than a rabbit in its burrow. You see, that little bit of termite mound there looks exactly like a leopard, don't you think, Via?
Sort of.
Not?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to embarrass myself like that. On we go. And you will notice, of course, that we have much less night drive than we had up until the 1st of May. And I think this is better because, well, we don't drive around in the darkness not looking at a great deal. We can drive around, in my case, in the day, not looking at a great deal. We're going down this road with any luck to see some bush babies. And in Indiana, what a lovely question you've asked about acacia trees, and it's actually quite an important story that I have to tell you. You say, do all acacia trees have thorns, and are there any thorn trees out here that are not acacias? I'm going to answer your second question first. There are plenty of trees out here that have thorns that are not acacias. The ziziphus is one of them, the buffalo thorn, the spike thorns, the gymnosporia species. They don't have thorns, at least they're not acacias. And what's interesting is you do get acacias that don't have thorns, but they don't occur in Africa, they occur in Australia. And the most obvious example that we know of here is something called a black wattle, or Acacia mearnsii. Now, what is very interesting about that is that because of some split that the botanists have done, the Australians have kept the name acacia, and everything that we call acacia, a ground hornbill flying away. Well done, Vian, that's brilliantly caught. Oh, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, I stopped just slightly too late. That's a ground hornbill, everybody, a big turkey-like bird, highly endangered. I'm quite glad we frightened it now, not when it was dark, because they will struggle to land in the darkness. So, there's a little steenbok, which we're not going to shine a light on. I'm just going to show you the steenbok as he runs away, much like the hornbill, except he's not endangered. Not as a species. As an individual he might be, especially if Shadow or Tingana are around here. So, with the acacias, the Australians have taken the name, basically, and none of the acacia trees here are, in fact, acacias anymore. They have a new generic name, and their generic name is Verchilia. So, no longer, and I can't get used to it myself, no longer are we allowed to say Acacia gerardii, or in this case here, Acacia exuvialis. This is Acacia, at least Verchilia exuvialis now, the flaky thorn. Right, the lions seem to be slightly more active than this Verchilia exuvialis tree, so let's go out and see what they're doing.
And the lions are up, so we just saw them sleeping. They've been stretching themselves now and opening and yawning. One of them might just go to the toilet here. It's a very, very terrible smell to smell. And there is another female. So let's see if we can get an ID on them. I know I had my phone here that has the different identifications. I'm not quite sure which one is which. But we know that Spotty Nose is not here. Amber Eyes should be somewhere around here. The most incredible looking eyes, Amber Eyes. One of them has already moved off. The one's still lying down. The other one's up and looking around. Beautiful. So it's got to that time of day, the crepuscular time, when the lions, wow, that smell is quite significant. Where the lions start getting active, and they start getting really social as well, which is cool to watch. They start rubbing their faces against one another. And then they'll start walking through the thicket at some point, where we'll try our best to stay with them. But look at that one over there. It looks like she's moving off. Looks like she's seen something. Ooh. One's up now and stretching. They're such powerful animals. Can't see the one that's moved off. There's another one that's moving in the other this direction. And the one is still lying down. So we just got you in time. Just gonna let everyone know that we're here. One station on lock with the Nkuhumas, just west of Aubrey's Road. 2 of the females are up now and active and walking into the block in a southerly direction, and 2 are still static. So we're here, still with the static one is just licking itself. The other one looks like it's coming back. There's 2 there. You can just pick up the other one that's lying down to the left of it. The tree's in the way. She's just to the left of this female over here. It's interesting as the one female's left. Just the head there. Not sure what it's doing. It seems to be stretching in the distance there. Hopefully the Nkuhumas. So the Nkuhumas will be moving around somewhere tonight. We're not sure where they'll go. Hopefully they'll stay on our property so that we can view them in the morning. One of them's up again, so 3 of them are standing. This one's now going to the toilet. So we've got 3 up and 1 still lying down. I can't see the other 2 anymore. It's getting quite dark out here. It's getting very, very dark out here. I'll switch on my light so we can have a little bit more visual of them. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Now we've got great visual of them. So now she's heading in the direction that her other sisters are in. So we've just got one of the females left. She's up. She will now be heading in that same direction as her sisters. Stations, the Nkuhumas are now mobile in a southerly direction into the block, just west of Aubrey's Road. Alright, so they've all moved off into the block. Hopefully we can try and see if we can find them. I'm going to turn around over here and go back to the road and follow Aubrey's to see if they might come out there. If we're lucky, maybe they'll go and predate or go and see if they can catch something this evening. Or even if we just watch them walking, it will be cool. Okay, so let's head off. We'll see you. We'll see if we can find them. Andrea would like to know, how are these lines related to one another? Let me just try and get out into this thick bush. Can't see them anymore. All of them are up and gone now. They're all related because they were part of the pride. So they were part of the pride. I didn't know the pride before they became this. So normally it's a pride of sisters that have grown up together that then form the pride. Sometimes a female will join an existing pride. Sorry, I'm trying to get through some very thick bush here. Please hold on. Just while I'm here, this is an apple leaf. Very cool tree. Love these leaves. Oh, it's not. It's actually a variable. I thought it was something else. I'll answer your question now. I just want to try and get out of this big, very thick block. Right. This is the one thing about trying to see these animals. We've got to try and get through this thick bush. We're going to link to James while I just try and get out of this bush. We'll see you in a minute.
Look, everybody. Oh, sorry, I just got stuck. Hang on. There is the Birmingham boy who is eating his rotten nyala. Doesn't it look delicious? There was a buffalo sitting right here, and obviously unconcerned by the lion, A, because he's on his own, and B, because he's already got a meal. Now, we've had two delightful smells here today. The first being the dung of the lions at the Nkuhumas Pride sighting, and now the rotting carcass of the nyala. And just have a listen. The buffalo coming behind us. That's why he's looked up. Now what you can hear there is the carnassial teeth shearing the meat off the bone and off the skin. The carnassials are the molars, which are very sharp. If you run your tongue round down the back of your teeth, your molars are very flat. His are very sharp. And they close over each other. They close over each other a bit like scissors. Scissor blades close over each other. And that's how he slices the meat off the bone and the skin. And he's just listening because there's a big buffalo behind us. A one-horned buffalo which knows that there's something amiss in here. And as we know, the fifth Birmingham boy, who is now no longer, was killed by a buffalo. And so, there you can hear the tearing. Oof. Tasty of him.
There's a little salt.
Salt. Is that all? Listen, here comes some buffalo. The buffalo chasing him. That's why he's got up. There are 3 or 4 buffalo coming through here. Let me get the spotlight out. Here comes a buffalo. They don't like lions, these buffalo, and one male lion will think twice about taking on a buffalo like this. Let's see if he comes back. Shall I move forward with him? We'll try and get the lion. There's a bit of a standoff going on now. The lion has lain down. Basically where he was this morning. There he is. Oh, that's a regal shot of him there. Beautifully framed there by that log. I've lost my camera then. You can hear the buffalo. And they'll come and investigate what's smelling, and he's definitely a little bit worried. But in this position, he's perfectly capable of getting away from them. He's in no real danger. Here's the big beefy behind us. Ooh, he's coming around the corner here. He's looking at us. He doesn't know where the lion is. The lion can see him. He may be unsighted. They're only about 20 meters from each other, 60 feet. The lion's watching. The buffalo's watching. I'm not sure that the buffalo can see him. He might be just behind that spike thorn bush. This is wonderful, isn't it? This is a very good idea of ours to come here, Viam. Well done. See, he's got one horn. He's a very old boy. But he won't tolerate lions. And Dina, yeah, you say hyenas just need to swoop in now and take the kill. Well, they could try, but the male lion, hyenas will think twice about taking on. If this was a female or two females or even three, 5 or 6 hyenas would think about coming in and having a go. This chap is not to be trifled with. He is a dominant male lion of this area, and although I'm quite scathing often about them, saying they're gangsters and casting aspersions on their nobility, they are like gangsters. They are not to be trifled with. They don't brook any kind of dissent, and a hyena would find itself in very big trouble were it to get into a tangle with this fellow. It's lovely to see them sitting like this, looking regal and looking lionly. All right, let's quickly head across to Sam, who's got the female version of the same species.
So everyone, we are with the Nkuhumas, and they are now traveling in an easterly direction on the fire break. So they're still in our property, which is great news. There should be 4 of them. We were with 4 of them. We only got 3 of them at the moment. I have no idea where the other one is. But hopefully they stay on our property over the evening. We're going to stick with them for a little bit, but we also going to be saying goodbye now because it's becoming to the end of the show. So I want to follow them to see maybe if they rest will go in what direction, so we can find them in the morning and really spend some time with the Nkuhumas and learn a little bit more about what they're looking like. I mean, I saw one that looks quite pregnant. But for now, we've had a great thanks so much to everyone that's been a part of this journey. We've seen lots this evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a morning drive. Thank you, Brian, behind camera, and thank you, Rebecca, in the director's seat. See you later.
There, he's still there, everybody, looking royal, and it's so lovely to see a male lion like that. Look at his big chompers as he has a roar, or not a roar, a yawn. I don't think he'll roar tonight. I think he'll probably just sit and eat for most of the rest of the night. And how very lovely to be able to spend this time with him like this. Normally, as I say, all they're doing is snoozing. We've got 1 minute left with him. Let's enjoy him. He'll be cleaning his paws. I mean, lions are not fastidious cleaners of themselves in the same way that house cats are, but they do not really like too much taste of blood on themselves or smell of blood. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the afternoon with us. We've certainly had a good time. Have we not, Viam? Yes. Very sad that we didn't find Viam's BFF, Gajima. We'll try again tomorrow morning, see if he comes back to eat his duiker while he's there. Big thanks to Viam on camera. A big thanks to Rebecca in the final control. She's being ably assisted, of course, by Louise Pavid, Slim Shady. And we will see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock as the dawn breaks. Thank you for joining us. It's been a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.